From WFRV Local 5, your local election headquarters, this is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. The spring election fast approaching, and one of the contests that we are following closely is the race for Green Bay Mayor. And this morning we are joined by Green Bay mayoral candidate Chad Weininger. Chad, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tom, for having me here, and I'd like to thank your audience for tuning in this morning.
Well, let's get to know you and our audience together. A little background on Chad Weininger.
Well, I currently serve as the Director of Administration for Brown County. I've been doing that for 8 years. I was unanimously appointed to the nonpartisan position. Prior to that, I was a state legislator for 2 terms. I represented the far west side of Green Bay, Alloway and Ashwaubenon. And prior to that, I actually was the city clerk for the city of Green Bay. I managed the elections. And before that, I actually was international election observer with the Foreign Service over in the State Department. And before that, I actually worked for the former mayor as his chief of staff in his earlier terms. And then I, of course, graduated St. Norbert College, later received my MBA, and owned and operated a number of businesses over the last decade and a half, everything from real estate to construction to restaurant. So
lifelong resident. Kids, family?
Oh, yeah.
What's that background?
So my wife Heather and I chose Green Bay. That's the community we grew up in. We have 3 little girls and 1 little boy. My girls, everyone's under the age of 11, so a very young family.
Your time in the State Assembly, from your fondest memories there, your accomplishments, what did you do there?
Yeah, one of the things I really enjoyed was constituent service, and that was cutting through the red tape and helping people with everyday problems. Whether it was DNR issues or DOT issues, serving the public was it. It was great. I also did a number of bills I'm very proud of that helped a lot of the development in downtown Green Bay, like the PACE program and also the historic tax credit. All my legislation that I personally championed all passed unanimously, or I should say with bipartisan support.
Right. Big question everybody wants to know in all candidate offings here. Why is Chad Weininger running for mayor? What was the trigger? Was there a day that you said, all right, that's enough, I'm going to run?
Well, I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it's been building up over the last several years. And, as a father of 4 young children, I was just deeply concerned about the direction of the future of the city of Green Bay. And I just wanted to ensure that, our children and their grandchildren have the same opportunities we had growing up. And with the massive tax increases and tax shifts over the last 4 years, it's making it harder for people to afford to live in Green Bay. And even with those tax increases, we still see our roads are still deteriorating and crumbling, our neighborhoods are less safe, and we lack a vision for the future development of the city of Green Bay, and we don't have that mayor that promotes the city and economic development that we need to do. So it was a combination of all those, and one day I just turned to my wife and said, are you okay if I run? And she's like, oh boy, I don't know if you want to do this. But as a family, we did. And one of the reasons why is a couple doors down from us, there was a drive-by shooting. And the summer before, there was a number of shootings overnight. And I think that was the tipping point where it's like, we need to do something.
In your view, what's the mayor's job? What is the main purpose of that office?
Yeah, the mayor's job is to manage the city, which I have a lot of experiences, and it's to carry out a vision, and it's to promote the city, to champion the city, and grow our base and make it a welcoming community where everyone has economic opportunities.
We are back with much more with Chad Weininger, running for Green Bay Mayor, right after this. Please stay with us. And back now with Green Bay mayoral candidate Chad Weininger. You're running for mayor of Green Bay. What are you seeing out there? What don't you like about what's happening right now?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on that a little bit. I think what's happening is we have a lack of development going on. The city of Green Bay now is only 30% of the county's tax base as opposed to the old days. The city of Green Bay actually got beat out by little old Hobart for net new construction, and that's the lifeblood that really keeps the city functioning. That's the new money that comes in. And if it doesn't come from there, it comes out of your pocketbook. And we need to grow that tax base. The other thing that I'm hearing at the doors is, some neighborhoods are good, and some neighborhoods are concerned about speeding, and other neighborhoods are concerned about more violent crime. And I think we need to focus in those areas. And the other thing too is, I don't know about you, but driving here, I think I've hit about 7 potholes, and they're pretty deep. The snow's not packing them in anymore.
What are you hearing mainly from residents as you go door to door?
Really, those are the issues.
Yeah.
Some folks have, small quality of life issues like leaf pickup, and other ones have major issues.
You mentioned development.
Yes.
Where are we lagging back? What do we need to do?
Oh boy, there's actually a lot. First, we need a comprehensive plan and a vision to develop the corridors and develop the density we need that supports small businesses and commercial businesses. That's one of the things we definitely need. We also need someone then to go sell that plan to investors. So when someone comes here, we can get them to a position to say, yes, we'll invest in the city of Green Bay. But before we can do that, we need to actually change and be more competitive with our neighbors. And that means being more agile and cutting out a lot of the bureaucracy to get the approval. Because what happens is developers, when they come into your community and they want to invest, and they want to invest 10 million, 100 million, they want to have some certainty that they're either going to know that the project's going to go forward or not. They can't set aside that money over a long period of time and have a lot of the project stalls, which have happened over the last 4 years. And we have to change that process, and I think that's job number one, because if you can fix the development, you have the resources to take care of all the other community and quality of life issues that we need funds for.
So you say you need the plan, you need to sell that plan. Do you have that plan?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
And it starts with corridor development, building that density, basically going from Lombardi all the way down to Ashland, Ashland to downtown, downtown to Mason, and then Mason to Military, and pulling those development areas together. This is done in other larger cities where they'll go and redevelop it. We can do it here. We just need a champion to do it, and it needs to be a priority.
And what do you see when you say we need corridor development? If I'm driving down that corridor under your administration and everything works the way you want it to, what am I going to see?
Well, obviously we have to do a smart development, so each area is going to look a little bit different, but part of it is, creating the bookend. So you have the Packer Stadium in Titletown in Ashwaubenon by 41, and then by Ashland, we need to bookend that area. So, I've been talking to folks about, $100 to $300 million development in that corner. And then also from there, redoing Ashland to our downtown, and then rebuilding the downtown area to build larger density. But it has to be more market rate density, because one of the things that we're missing is we've been doing pop tent development where we'll do a little here and a little there, but it never builds that density that businesses need to support.
Yeah. Do you think that we have enough affordable housing in this city?
Well, we need to talk through that a little bit. So right now the idea is if we build a market rate housing, that will allow the people to free up more affordable housing. But I think there is an issue with affordable housing, i.e. workforce housing, when it comes from people that have fallen in hard times, gone through a program, and they're trying to make that transition. So I think we need to be a little bit more flexibility in creating the old dormitory style building for a short period of time, because I think those people are the ones that are really struggling, that they want to work, and we need to do everything we can to try to give them the ability to have a place to live and then work, and then, like we all have gone through in life and struggled, and it's trying to get from point A to point B to point C, and that's part of the American dream, and I think we have to help with that. But as far as that going, Our area is just not Green Bay. There's a lot of communities that can help with the affordable housing issue. I think right now, to build the density and support our commercial tax base, we need to build that density. And one thing that we learned from the reassessment is that commercial property didn't grow as fast, so there was a huge tax shift from the commercial properties onto the residential properties. So it just wasn't just a massive tax increase, it was also a tax shift, which made it even harder. And that includes the people in the $1 million plus houses. There was a shift from them in commercial to the average homeowner.
You talked about developers and they don't want to tie their money up.
Yeah.
Has that been a problem in the past? Are they timid to work with Green Bay?
Well, I think what I've been hearing from a number of developers, and I've been talking to quite a few, if you have property in Green Bay, you're almost forced to try to figure something out. But the folks that want to come in and purchase property to develop it, those are the ones that are a little bit more, concerned about, we have a reputation that, we're kind of one of the worst places to develop in and build in.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just take a look at it. During COVID, Ashwaubenon, they have cranes in the air. They had them for the last 4 years. Hobart now again beat us out with net new construction. So they're able to attract the investment and development dollars there. So what I'm saying is we need to be more agile and cut out the bureaucracy. So when people come in and they want to invest, we got to give them the vision, say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to create this density. Come in and invest in us. And treat them like a partner and work to figure it out. How do we build that extra tax base for net new construction? So part of it is bringing them through the process, helping champion them through that process so they're willing to invest. And part of that is, again, is cutting through the red tape and making things happen. Because without that, it's going to hurt residents.
Much more to come with Chad Weininger right after this, so please stay with us. Back now with Green Bay mayoral candidate Chad Weininger. Your website, you've got a bunch of talking points, and I'd like to touch on a few of them. First of all, safe neighborhoods. What are your concerns, and what would you do to improve, to make the neighborhood safer?
Okay, so again, all neighborhoods are a little different. There's some major concerns in some and not so major in other. What I would do is actually restart up the mayor's walk and talks, which I started up with the former mayor a long time ago. It gets the mayor in the neighborhoods to figure out what the main issues are so we can attack them. The other thing I would do is actually start up the mayor's clean sweeps again. So when I was with the mayor and we had years of high crime, what we did is we organized clean sweeps. We brought the police in with inspections and a few other departments, and we went into the communities and talked to people and engaged them, and crime went down. And it works. And there's studies on this. It works well. And then
go ahead.
The other part on what I would do a little bit differently for crime is that there were 7 police officers that were unfunded and they were eliminated from the budget. I would work to reinstate those and to provide the extra resources in those neighborhoods that are having those problems, so that our police officers aren't running from one call to one call to one call, and be a little bit more strategic about it and use data analytics to actually target, because now there's folks and police officers using, or I should say police stations using data analytics to actually predict where potential crimes might happen or where altercations or things may happen. So if all of a sudden there's a lot of people, meeting up to go drag race in a certain place, you send an officer over there just to say hi, and obviously that kind of disperses it.
You talked about the walk and talks, which we all remember.
Sure.
Clean sweep. What happened to those programs? Where did they go?
I don't know. They all stopped. A lot of the mayor's walk and talks, I went into the neighborhoods, been doing a lot of doors. Folks remember them, but they don't know what happened to them. The clean sweeps, I'm not sure what happened. They went away. And that's something that's simple that could be put into communities really quick. And I would do that within my first term. And that would really take a bite out of crime.
I think we could all probably argue that most of our neighborhoods are relatively safe here in Green Bay. But we do have certain neighborhoods in this town, and we have a police radio in our newsroom, and we listen all the time, and the calls seem to come from the same neighborhoods.
Yeah.
How can we focus on those neighborhoods?
And that's what I'm talking about is those clean sweeps. In the old days, we would target those areas and we would have a multi-prong approach of, police, inspection, and other folks go into those neighborhoods, talk to them. And as you engage in those conversations and kind of set the standard of what was acceptable and what's not, the crime dropped in those neighborhoods. We did that for a number of years and it worked really well. I think what happened, it worked really well and they just stopped using them.
So you saw that it did make a difference. A police presence always in those neighborhoods.
Yeah, and what happens is you work with the neighborhood associations, you work with your partner, you go in there and they worked marvelously back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Another issue in your talking points, you say honest leadership.
Yeah.
Now that sounds like a dig at someone. What did you mean by that?
Sure. Thanks, Tom. That was a fair question. What I mean by that is, so for instance, I think there was 7 shootings in one day, and the neighborhood was really upset. They went to a press conference with the mayor. The mayor, didn't talk to him. He basically said, "I'm not going to talk to you." There was actually a story on that. And what I mean by that is when you're in a legislature, you can hide from issues, but when the mayor, you can't hide from issues. You have to own them and accept them. And that's one of the things is you have to be able to say, listen, folks, we know that there's a problem. I don't have the solutions right now, but I'm going to work with the police department and I'll get back to you and we'll work together with the neighborhood, with you, and we'll put together a plan to fix it. And that's what I mean by honest leadership. You just have to own the issue and you can't hide from them and you have to accept them, stand up for them, and find a solution for them. I mean, that's what a mayor's job is, to run the city. And that's what I mean.
And it would seem as though crime might be cut down a little bit if people in that neighborhood knew that you as mayor were involved.
Well, you would certainly hope, but if you have the presence of the mayor and, he's back in the police department and the neighborhood association and all the other departments that we can put in there, it's just having that conversation, just good conversations about setting the standards and addressing those issues.
Finally, the point of fiscal responsibility. Again, political jab? Maybe not.
Well,
are you concerned about the city's finances? What would you do differently?
Yeah, and again, it just, like you and I, we both have a family budget that we have to live within, and the city has to live within it too. And so your choices are either you can cut, you can grow your tax base, which I talked about, right, or you can tax more. And that's what we've seen over the last 4 years is just a continuation of increased taxes, and it's making it harder for people to afford to live in the city of Green Bay. And the answer is economic growth and economic development. That will help offset those tax increases. But part of it is my experience in the county is I prepare a $300 million budget, and we've been able to do a really good job in controlling our costs by streamlining services and really digging in, and that's where my expertise is. So I think I'd be a natural fit for the position to help with those financial responsibilities. And before I started, the county budgets used to go 2 days long. Now they go about an hour. It's because we engage the county, 26 county board members and the county executive, and we work together through the committee process early on, 6 months prior. And so when we get to the final day of the budget, it doesn't take 2 days, and we don't have the dysfunction. We pass it, and it's usually done within about an hour.
Give me, if you would, your assessment, your take on the controversy currently going on over at City Hall with audio surveillance.
Yeah.
Would a Mayor Chad have done things the way they were done? Yeah.
So 2 things. Where they were placed, they shouldn't be placed there. I would remove those 2 surveillance areas. If it was in a secure entrance area, that'd be a different story in a police station or in a fire station where it's not manned. But there's really no need to have those listening devices there. I think the larger issue is the way the mayor handled this. On the city council floor, when he was asked about it, instead of doubling down on it, he should have said, listen, I will take a look at it. We'll put a pause on this. We'll take a look at it, because it was his position of nope, we're doing it right and it's the right thing, that caused other people then to get involved and say, oh no, you're wrong. And the fact of the matter is if you look at all the law and all the pieces, all they had to do was actually post it and it would have been legal. But by doubling down on saying, nope, it's right, no one has a reasonable expectation of privacy if you're in City Hall, I think that sends a bad message. And I think if we would have handled it differently at the City Council, they wouldn't have someone filing criminal charges against them, and I don't think they would be facing some lawsuits for violation of the people's Fourth Amendment. So I think if it was handled differently, we wouldn't see these lawsuits or these criminal charges being asked for.
We are back to wrap up with Chad Weininger after this, so please stay with us. Back now with Green Bay mayoral candidate Chad Weininger. It is that time of the show, Chad, for you to make the elevator pitch. Why should Green Bay elect Chad Weininger as their next mayor?
Thank you, Tom, for letting me give this pitch. The reality is you need to elect a mayor who can manage a city and carry out a vision. I have 8 years experience as a director of administration for the county doing just that. We've done some great things at the county that I was involved in. I championed the redevelopment of for the coal piles that will potentially move to where we purchased the Polium plant. I put that deal together, brought people together in a nonpartisan fashion. I brought folks together for the paper-making corridor, which allowed for the expansion of Green Bay Packaging, which was a $500 million investment, which will keep them here for a very long time. I have a history of bringing people together. I have support across the aisle, and we've done some really great things together. And I know I can get the job done. I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and get to work.
Chad Weininger, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. And if you have a newsmaker in your town who you think we should have on this program, let us know about it. Send us an email to tips@wearegreenbay.com, or you can message us on Facebook. And be sure to join us once again Sunday morning at 7:30. Until then, have a great day.